Jermaine, he was an incredible player. We know that. It's hard for us because, look, we're a younger generation.
Yeah.
We didn't see him play as much as a lot of the older people, but I've been watching footage for the last few hours and just watching him play, and I mean, we kind of forget how good he was and the goals that he scored and the things he'd done for the game. He was an absolute global icon and changed the game forever.
Yeah, well, with the footage that you probably saw, I saw when I was about 9.
Yeah.
Because my father had a load of video cassettes, which he had of Brazil, and he had plenty of Liverpool. And then when I used to skive off school, which was quite often, rather than have the luxuries that you have today, my joy was watching football. And I'd watch, the Brazil videos, all of Pele, really. So I saw all of his moments caught on video, on film. Yeah. When at such a young age, and I can remember, the Portuguese trying to literally kick chunks out of him onto the point where he had to get stretchered off because they literally done what they set out to do because he was injured before the game. Yeah. And they just kicked, and he was crying. And as a young kid, that touched me right there, thinking, this guy's a legend and he's going to win the World Cup for his country, but a team's done that to him. This is at such a young age, and some of his great goals against Uruguay, when he dummies the keeper but just misses. Mm-hmm. Jarzinho, Grincha, all these players he played alongside with and watched. It brought so much joy to me as a kid. I'd watch those videos, and then I'd go out, put on my football jersey with my ball, and I'd be pinging it in people's gardens, people's fences, windows, but pretending I was Pele at that moment. Yeah. And he made the number 10 jersey for me. He made it.
You see, like when we grow up, Jermaine, when we were playing football, we had the luxuries of being at great academies and playing on and having all the facilities, having everything on your doorstep to make it in the game. Great football pitches, football boots, the balls, everything.
Top of the art, wasn't it?
Yeah. We had it all, right? In terms of what you could. And I remember playing on bad pitches and walking off going, pitch is rubbish, pitch is useless. How am I meant to play on that? Yeah. When I look back at some of the old footage of some of the games that he was playing on and the things that he was doing on a football pitch, they're like cow patches. I mean, they're absolutely shocking. And for a player to do that, and we know what it's like playing on bad pitches, we were nowhere near it. This man was winning World Cups, playing in things, playing in games, scoring goals, and just phenomenal. And when I look back, and as I said, I don't remember him playing as, I watch Maradona, I watch Gascoigne, I watch Zidane and Messi and Ronaldo, and we talk about the greatest ever and all that. But this man was doing it in the 60s. He was doing it in the 60s when football wasn't a global sport.
And the thing is, Jay, when you watch highlights of him, and when I watch the videos, he was doing stuff that people are doing now. Yeah. They're not the cross, but the chops here.
Yeah, the chop.
The chop.
Both feet.
Yeah. Flicking over people's head. He's doing what people are doing now. So for the game to evolve so much, but doing what he was doing back then, it just goes to show how he was on a different planet to everyone else. Yeah. Because I wasn't seeing other players doing what he was doing then. It was just only Pelé. Yeah. And people can say, but is he the greatest of all time? What if he played in this era? You can't say that. It's like everything evolves, but in that period, he was the best. And he set the stall, and for what he achieved, you just got to look at him as absolute hero.
Yeah, 3 World Cups, unbelievable. 77 goals in 92 caps for Brazil. 12 goals and 10 assists in 14 World Cup appearances. He's got 655 goals in 700 club appearances for Santos and New York Cosmos. I mean, when you look at the stats of the man and when you watch some of the highlights that we're now getting to see of him, and it's all coming out, you're seeing more of you actually sit down and you actually appreciate what he was, because we talk about great players and we talk about this, and people say Messi and Maradona,
and people say, Jay, that but look at the defending. No, it's not about the face. It's about in that time. Everything changes, everything evolves. Yes, the defenders gets better, but he's still got to do it. Yeah, we can play in lower league and the defending's rubbish, but it's still hard because they ain't got a clue half the time what they're doing, so it makes it harder. So he was playing against tough defenders, maybe not technically great, but they will kick you up in the air and you're not getting booked and all that.
Yeah. Just watching him. Yeah. Both-footed, Jermaine. Now you know how. I mean, I've seen your left foot.
My left
foot
foot
swinger
for pure standing.
Yes,
I've got a right one, but my left is just for standing.
Yeah, and when you watch a player who can go both ways, watching the clips of him, I couldn't tell you if he was left or right-footed.
Yeah,
you know, he literally would stand you up. The chop with both feet is just sensational. The way he skips past, he loved the little nutmeg.
Yeah.
You know, I watch Neymar now, and you know, you talk about players that do things now. And we're in awe of it when you see players skipping past players, the little nutmegs, the double nutmegs. I mean, Pele's doing it.
He was doing this.
He's doing it in 50s.
60s, 70s. Let's listen to what you just said there. In the 50s.
In the 50s. And you're looking at it going, he's doing things that I got taught, you know, like 50 years later. You know, the little chops, the stand and the goes, and the way you go past people with, you know, and being able to shoot with both feet.
That's what Mbappe does now.
Yeah.
That's his go-to. That's his, you know, stop you.
When you stand a player up, and then you don't move the ball, but you see he done it a lot. When I've look back and watched his clips, he'll have the ball, he'll stand you up, and the defender's stand, and the ball's not moving, but he'll be moving.
Yeah,
you know, he's and you watch Mbappe, you watch Neymar, they're all doing that now, and we're in awe of it. So can you imagine back then in the 50s when you're sitting there watching him live, and you're saying this guy's, he was just generations, you know, beyond anyone else I've seen at that stage. You know, it's like it's ridiculous. So, I mean, what a man he is, and a sad day for football for sure. And look, as we said, we're going to be we'll cross over to South America, North America. We're going to get loads of tributes throughout this show. And if you want to have your tribute as well, and come on and talk about the great man, you can. 03717 22 3344. Let's go to Ryan, who's a Man United fan. All right, Ryan.
Evening, lads. How you doing?
Yeah, good.
Right, mate.
Right.
Well, good, thank you.
Go, give us your memories of Pele.
Well, this is a sad night for me because my dad died this year, and about 10 years ago. Thank you. 10 years ago, I told him that Ronaldo and Messi were the best players of all time, and he pulled out some old dusty cassettes which he had to literally blow the dust off. And he showed me two players. The first one was Alfredo Di Stefano, the Real Madrid player.
Yeah.
And the second one was Pelé. And he said to me that my education in terms of football, in terms of what I could know and appreciate about the players of the past, would have to start with these two before I could talk about anyone being the best. You got to remember that yellow cards and red cards were a thing till the 70 World Cup.
Yeah.
And they were in part that because it's 66, the Benfica side, who were pretty much the Portugal side, kicked the daylights out of Pelé. They kicked him because they lost to him in an exhibition game where he trounced them 4 goals in the game, I think, against the European champions at the time. And then they got to the World Cup and they said, well, we'll stop him at all costs. So by 1970, the team didn't want him. The papers were saying they couldn't get him. He was too slow. And he showed with Jairzinho, with Tostão, with that team of Gerson, how good he still was even then. I think in a goal and or assist in every game in the 1970 World Cup that he participated in, what was eventually his swan song, where the Brazilian FA had to beg him to come back.
Yeah.
He was an incredible player. Like I said, when I think back to my dad showing me those videos and the pride he had, showing me of this was the person he looked up to as a kid. That's who Pelé is to me.
Yeah, I mean, look, we talk about great players of the greatest evers, and you know we've been blessed in the eras that we've got now, and what we don't realise and what we forget was in terms of footage. You know, we didn't get the footage of Pele. You know, like it was the early days in terms of filming games and getting cameras. Now we get to watch Ronaldo and Messi and, you know, all these
week
great,
in, day in, out.
Yeah, like day in, day out. You watch them train. You know, and we see things on social media of them doing something ridiculous in, you know, on a training ground, and you see Neymar doing something ridiculous, you know, at PSG, and we sit there and we're in awe of it. But actually, we didn't get to see that of Pele. Because there's just no footage. There's not enough of it.
The limited that I saw with my dad was from really bad recordings, and then later when Sky and other companies were able to do better production and restore some footage, and so some stuff on YouTube as well, which I know you guys are on, I was able to see it in better definition and understand more what he was talking about. I mean, some of those pictures and some of those games were so awful because they were in black and white, awful television. Yeah. Obviously, the 1970 World Cup's in colour, so you can see it in his full majesty at the very end of his powers in terms of the top level. But yeah, he was a wonderful player. Had a big impact on my dad, as I said. And so me, as a young man in my 20s, it gave me a little bit of understanding of how great some of those players were from the past and in that 50s, in the late 50s and in the early 60s, certainly, he was probably the best player in the world.